I would say bravo to Baker Mayfield and his team that on the day that Watson's having his suspension hearing, right? On the day that that's happening, Baker Mayfield is holding a youth football camp and talking. You know, he did actually say something at his youth football camp. He could have declined to say anything, but he said something. And he basically said that it appears in his mind that this is a mutual decision from both sides to move on, that no matter what is going to happen from this hearing, if it's a full year suspension, he said that somebody would have to reach out to start that process from the Browns, although he just thinks that that's just not going to happen because of the mutual interest in moving on. So what are his options as we're about to hit July? Like, where does everything stand with him and a future address potentially?
So here's my understanding. I think he's being forthright, and I think if this is a 6 or an 8 game suspension, I think the Browns move forward and continue to try to trade him. I wonder if it's a full year suspension, if that changes things, because I don't have information that would lead me to believe that it would that it would change things. It's just my instinct on it, that you signed Jacoby Brissett and you're comfortable with him as your starter for 6 or 8 games. Are you comfortable with him for the whole year? I mean, we saw that how that went in Indianapolis in 2019, right? He was okay, but faded down the stretch. So are you okay with that if you're the Browns? Can he be more than just a placeholder? Or is there a scenario out there where the best thing for everyone involved, for the Browns, for Mayfield, is to reconcile? Again, my information to this point is that Baker Mayfield's being forthright, that Baker is 100% done with the Browns, and that's the way that he's operated the last 3 or 4 months, and that the Browns, based on their actions, have not held on to him as any sort of insurance policy. They're holding on to him because they can't move him because of his number. And the fact that they were willing to take on, and I've been clear about this, about half of his salary to facilitate a trade tells me they were never looking at him as an insurance policy. They were always looking to get rid of him. Could a year suspension change that? Here's, I think, the way you have to look at that, Rich. Is it the best? Is Baker Mayfield, if Deshaun Watson's out for the whole year, is Baker Mayfield the best quarterback for the Browns this year, for this team? I think the answer is yes.
Of course.
And then on the flip side, is Baker going to find another situation where he's going to be put in a better position to get paid in 2023 and find a new starting job somewhere else in 2023 than he has in Cleveland right now, barring an injury somewhere else? No, right?
Well, hold on a second. I'll give a little pushback there because
I don't know.
Because, Albert, why would Baker Mayfield, in a sport where your next snap could be your last, why would he put that on the line for this team? If you were just referred to Jacoby Brissett, can he be more than a placeholder? Well, yeah, the answer for Mayfield is you don't ask that question. Of course he can be more than a placeholder, but technically he is still a placeholder. And so why would he put himself in a situation to have J.J. Watt, even though they're not going to play each other, I'm just using that as an example, track him down and hurt his shoulder, just like last year? Why would he fight through injury knowing that he needs to prove that he can do it again, and I'll show it again, I'm not injury prone, I got to get out there again? Why would he put himself under that pressure for this team as opposed to finding another spot and proving he can do it in a new spot? That wouldn't he get the same contract? That's what I'm saying.
The answer to that is yes. The money's the same, but Carolina, do you think Carolina's a better situation right now? You could make an argument, I suppose, in that they drafted Aquanu, so maybe that helps their offensive line issue. They've got some skill position talent, but Matt Rule's job's on the line. You could have a coach fired there in midseason.
Which is why if I have a bad game, he's going to go right to Sam Darnold because, what skin do we have in each other's game? Really, not much. Right. I just met the guy, and then on top of it, in Seattle, why wouldn't you go there? Pete's not going anywhere.
No, I know. But
the expectations are so low there, so low. If you get this team even in playoff contention, that's the same thing as you performing well for a team that already told you we're done. That's my point. That's my pushback on it.
Yeah, and I understand what you're saying. And I understand the emotional part of it. I just think, look, Seattle, maybe 2 rookie tackles starting, right?
Yes.
Carolina, rookie left tackle. Seattle, what's DK Metcalf's mindset? Like, Carolina, Matt Rule's job stats. Like, I think you just add all these things up, Rich, and I don't know that, like, there is a better situation. Like, it's like, I guess it's like a marriage is falling apart where you make it work for the kids, right? Like with Cleveland and Mayfield, where it's like, we'll make it work until they graduate, and then we'll go our separate ways. Like, I just sort of feel like, for Baker, like, he knows the offense. He's going to be playing behind one of the best offensive lines in football. He, I think, has a pretty good skill position group around him, one of the best running games in the league, and a team that should contend through the year, and I think, if you're another team looking at Baker as a potential starter past this year, how good would it look if Baker Mayfield was able to turn the other cheek? And everybody who's ever said he's immature, right? Like, everybody who's ever said he's childish, everybody who's ever taken shots at who he is as a person, if he's able to rise above that and play really well for the Browns in 2022, wouldn't that make him look great?
I hear you. I hear you.
You know what I mean? Again, all my information to this point, Baker's done with the Browns, and the Browns are operating 100% as if Baker Mayfield's not going to be in the roster in 2022. Just saying, if it's a full year suspension for Watson, I can see where you logically look at it and say, you sort of make that deal with the devil, both sides. You know what I mean? Like, you make that deal with somebody you weren't going to make a deal with, and you go forward because you think there's a great mutual benefit on the other side of it.
And I guess they could, name their 2022 championship video, "Let's just use each other."
Yeah.
That's the rallying cry for 2022. Let's just use each other. One more year.
Rich, think about this. If he plays well, then the Browns get a third-round comp pick for him, letting him go this year, right?
Oh, God.
I mean, there's just, and again, this is me.
Yeah. No.
This is purely me saying this because, again, my information has said they're done with each other. But it does make sense. I think that there is a scenario where it makes sense. Again, only if Watson's suspended for the whole year, where the cap space is already used. And this isn't a situation like San Francisco where, getting Jimmy off the books is going to facilitate the signing of a Bosa or a Debo. They're set. They're okay cap-wise. They can carry him. I just think that there could be a mutual benefit to, if you're either side, holding your nose and going forward and saying, let's make the best of it.